What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which I, your host, Tavin Bothel, alongside co-host Say Hello to the People, Connor Elliott.
Hello, I'm here for a review.
And Phil Shoemaker.
What up?
Hello, hello. We play a game in the background during the month, and in the beginning of each new month, we bring you a review of that game and rank it amongst the other games in the series. This month, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. We've been on a campaign to get through up to this point in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, where we've been actively pursuing Metal Gear. We did the first 3 games, and now we're doing 4. We're going to put a pause on it here unless the Great Wheel says otherwise.
Some of us under duress.
Yes.
Listen, did you have a bad time, though? Did you have a bad time?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. This one might have broken the camel's back a little bit. Anyways, of course, you can find all episodes of this series in the description down below in a nice little tidy playlist. I do recommend you go through and watch some of that, see how we got to this point, and see what we reviewed up to this point. There's some great games, there's some not so great games, and then there's some games you probably haven't thought about or you never thought about in this list that I was very excited to get into. Shout out Severed. Gentlemen, I, of course, am the Metal Gear Solid fan at the table. Well, the big fan at the table. I would hope by this point, the two of you would say you're fans of the franchise. Clearly not to my point. But, you know, that you like the franchise and that I would hope that you describe yourself as fans.
Fairly certain fan is short for fanatic.
Yeah.
I would not call myself a fanatic. I'd say I'm a fan.
I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a fan.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I'm a fan of Metal Gear Solid 3.
If you said,
stay true.
Really, not even 2.
I'm a fan of what the meta shit that happens in 2. I think that's one of the greatest things games ever done.
If they came out today and said Hideo Kojima directed a new Metal Gear Solid game,
and it was the one that was 2 or 1.
No, I'm saying if there was a new game announced
see, yeah.
today by Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid, whatever that means to you is whatever it means to you. Would you be like, oh, dude, I'm in?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm bought in.
The MGS6.
In the same exact way, I would buy into.
Or he does some king shit and says MGS5. This is the
that
real
would be
one.
That would be fucking fine. Hey, we're gonna finish it this time. Director's cut this, bitch.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be the first genuine actual director's cut to a video game that we've ever gotten. Anyways, so yeah, 3 is my favorite video game of all time. I love 2. I love 1. This game is a little more tricky for me. And before we get into the review, of course, we all played on the PlayStation 3. Connor and I, a little bit under duress, played on hard mode. Phil, you played on normal?
Naked normal, yeah.
Naked normal.
Yeah.
Weaker gamer, I guess.
Connor started on naked normal, and then I fucked up the save file, so he had to play the rest of the game on hard.
Didn't really feel that much of a change, funny enough.
I think it really only comes up in the boss fights.
Yeah.
Is really the only time that it really.
I'm curious to. I never looked it up. I'm gonna look up the difference between naked normal and solid normal.
Oh, solid normal might be the real normal mode. Naked normal might be unless naked was higher. I don't know.
I'll keep talking.
Okay.
Was a thing though? Okay.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, what is it? Yes. Metal Gear Solid 4 launched June 12th, 2008 on the PlayStation 3. This was their first time playing it, Phil and Connor. So I've played this game less than I've played the other ones, but I've played it quite a few times.
I will say I played around in the opening 15 minutes years and years ago, but
apparently the major change is you have access to more Drebin points.
Oh, really? Oh, that's not that big of a deal at all. June 12th, 2008, PlayStation 3 sold 6 million copies worldwide by 2014. Shipped over 3 million units on the day of release. Shipped, not sold. Was the best-selling video game in the U.S. in June 2008, selling nearly 775,000 units, not including bundled copies. The game was a significant title for the 7th generation of consoles, contributing to a sales boost for the PlayStation 3 console. Phil, if I were to ask you what you thought the Metacritic of this game would be, what would you say it is?
I'm going to reach 86.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
No,
please?
because you know it. It is a 94.
Oh.
Stupid high.
I mean, I was going lower because I thought maybe, I don't know, 89, maybe 90. But like, I think 86 is pretty.
That would be more understandable. I think what a lot of this has to do is Konami and Kojima marketed this as the actual end of Metal Gear Solid. Kojima's never wanted to do sequels for Metal Gear ever, but like it was never something that was like explicitly said until this game. This was the one where they're like, we're done. This is going to be it. And then they made 3 more. And so...
Are you talking about Survive too?
Any more?
Peace Walker, Phantom Pain. I guess I was technically thinking about Ground Zeroes, but that's really more Phantom Pain.
That's just 5, The first mission of
Portable
5.
Ops was out by this point already.
I can believe
I
that.
forget. It doesn't matter. And it was pretty universally praised, obviously because of a lot of fan service, and new generation of consoles, new control scheme. All of these things were really highly praised. I pulled up the Wikipedia reception. The new control scheme, camouflage system, and shift to more freeform replayable gameplay. I don't know about that one. In particular, the Drebin point system and alternatives to stealthy play were particularly high praised, with a few minor annoyances. The variety of set piece events, details such as the psych meter and healthy provisions of secrets were also remarked upon. Eurogamer tempered their overall praise with concern that one of the chapters may induce ennui, but that
On Wii.
On Wii?
On Wii. Yeah.
What is that?
Depression.
Oh, but that the game quickly recovered. What? While Edge expressed mild disappointment that the Beauty and Beast unit compared poorly to the previous title's main foes, the Cobra unit. And then I got more. Generally, everything was praised. The depictions of characters, the performances, the graphical fidelity of the game, the way the game played. I did pull up IGN's review, which I think is interesting here, where they talked about the Drebin point system, which was highly controversial when the game released. Some critics will say that such widespread influence of the Drebin system and its points make the game too easy and eschews the traditional stealth roots of the title in favor of an action focus. This is an extremely shallow way to view what this new mechanic provides, which allows players to pick and choose exactly how they would like to play the title. Purists to the covert aspects of the franchise can sneak and crawl through the game with a focus on stealth, restrictions, their purchases of ammunition, or completely avoiding the Drebin system entirely. These players, much like, that's Connor's favorite type of praise of a game. If you can just ignore one of its key systems, then that's a good thing, These players will find plenty of new features to support them in their clandestine moves.
I know you were doing that as a dig towards.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would kind of agree with that.
I think that idea is more apt here than it was when Connor brought it up for combat in Breath of the Wild. Okay. I think it's more apt here. I still think that's silly.
I don't know. I think that the amount of choice that they give the player and that like the amount of variety you can choose to play this game, in terms of like, if you want to have like some sort of like self imposed rules, like you're not interacting with any of the Drebin.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do non-lethal, no alerts.
I think you kind of laughed about it, but I think that would make this game highly replayable. At least for me, I could see myself going back and maybe even attempting a platinum on it.
You've mentioned how this is one of the worst platinums.
This is one of the worst trophy lists. This game came out before trophies did, or at the very least, the game launched with no trophies. I know that for a fact.
I mean, I fully stand by that. Yeah, the list is fucking awful.
It's terrible.
But I think the game is a high enough quality to where I don't think I would get that annoyed in attempting a platinum run.
Well, gentlemen, let's discuss that just now. Why don't we? I would describe myself as a Metal Gear Solid mega fan. This game disappoints me in a lot of different ways. Something went wrong here. Something is askew. Something is off. I don't know what it is. Famously, Hideo Kojima tried to pass the reins to one of his one of his peers for this game, and he wasn't going to direct this game. There was huge backlash against that. He kind of got pinned into becoming the director of the game, which, by the way, I should say, he actually co-directed this game. I forgot all my other stats. Developer, Kojima Productions. Publisher, Konami. Director, Hideo Kojima and Shuya Murata. Producer, Kenichiro Imazumi. And yeah, this is very much a Hideo Kojima game. The game is half cutscene, which is frustrating to the pacing. But I think a lot of its issues lie in just the structure of the game and a lot of its new gameplay mechanics and choices that they've made. I feel like there is a... Yes,
really quick, not trying to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I did a quick Google search in the very beginnings of my playthrough of this game, just trying to figure out the ratio of gameplay to cutscene. Google came back at me and said, this game is 49% cutscene and 51% game.
It's a lot of cutscene.
Which is insane.
Now, I do think there are moments in the game, especially in the early chapters, where you can really experiment and play with the mechanics so you can prolong the amount of gameplay that you have there.
Yeah.
But as you get deeper into the game, that becomes less true.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead with what you're saying.
And I just think generally the structure of this game, a lot of the gameplay mechanics that they've added to this game, all work to just simplify what the player does in this game, even from chapter to chapter. And I find this to be the least creative from the player's perspective, the least creative game. Like, I don't feel like I'm being creative in how I handle different encounters, rooms, battles, anything like that. It feels like there is one true golden way to handle this game and nothing else. I think generally the game is too easy. I think Snake feels best to control than he's ever felt in the series up to this point, but the rest of the game is not designed or leveled up to him. So you feel like you're an adult in a room full of children. Where you're just like, all right, I'm just going to pop these little sleeping headshots against everybody and put everybody to sleep, and they're not going to see me. I think the AI is still suffering from the game logic from the previous generation. They haven't been upgraded. I think level design is pretty forgettable here, if not straight up bad in a few moments. I think there are moments of level design that are really good. And boss fights run the gambit of meh to, oh, that was pretty dope. And overall, this story really disappoints. There's too much exposition. There's too much yapping and just blabbering. They're telling the player how to feel and not having real human conversations in which they can actually emotionally affect the player. And the biggest sin of all for me is pretty much the entire cast of this game do not feel like the same characters that they were the last time we saw them. I feel like pretty much across the board, everybody's character arc has been derailed here for the sake of the story of this game, but they had to sacrifice where these individual characters were on their individual journeys in order to get them to play their part in this game. And yeah, I just feel like this one, though it is loaded with fan service and loaded with nostalgia bait, it doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel like a satisfying conclusion to the story that we've been telling. Connor, this is your first time through the game.
Yes, it is. It is my first time playing through it, and I was going into this excited to play it because culturally in the gaming community, this is a big game. Mainly in regards to memes, people share, moments that happen in the story. To where I knew going into this, it is, as some have said, egregious with its amount of cutscenes. And I understood the same exact criticism for the other Metal Gear Solid games we played, and each time I went through those, while acknowledged those, I always liked how dialogue was done in those games. I like how the narrative was unraveled. So even though they were constantly throwing at you, point after point, line after line, over and over and over again, I was always sitting there engaged with the narrative. And when I've been thinking, because I beat this game about 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago, and ever since I've removed myself from the game, all I think are cutscenes. Cutscene this, cutscene that. When I try to think of the elements of gameplay to praise, and to say that really quickly, when I was first playing through it, I was like, I'm not going to like this game. I am not going to like it at all from a gameplay perspective. During the first episode, I still would say, as I sit here reviewing it, that the first act I did not enjoy. Solely because I was not used to the controls. Metal Gear Solid has always had this thing where whenever I get my hands on a new one, even after playing all of the other ones, I have to get used to it. Kind of like with FromSoft games. I've become more intuitive with those as the years have gone by, so I was put back in that space with Metal Gear Solid. But inevitably, I smarten up and I get used to controlling it. And with that thought in mind, episode 1 was good. It was fun. Episode 2 was fun and good. It took me a second to get into it in that second episode, that second act. But I was like, okay, this game's going to be more fun than I was already feeling at the beginning. That immediately takes a nosedive when as it always had done up until this point, and I was always just like, great, I have to go through another hour-long mission briefing, or however the hell long those scenes took. And Act 3 did that, and then it put me in another cutscene that was interesting, but then it introduced a character. It didn't introduce a character. It showed more of a character that I didn't like how she was done further. Meryl, specifically. And,
if I may really quickly just direct to the chat, David No People says, there's nothing wrong with disliking it, but I think Connor didn't enjoy it because you have to be familiar with anime style of storytelling to understand Kojima's intent with Infamous 4.
So, that is hilarious and the biggest cop-out I've ever heard in my life.
I see that as, kind of a compliment because I think I might. Phil's my biggest competitor on this.
In terms of people that watch anime in this room?
I watch a lot of anime. As a matter of fact, I think the Japanese, in terms like this. I'm being derailed for a second, but that's fine.
Sure.
Because
thank you for calling. Thank you, David, for being in the.
I felt it necessary to call attention to that.
That's a great thing to call attention to. What was the big noise that you just made?
I know this guy, and he's fucking bullshitting me.
Oh,
so fuck you, David.
Just got rage baited.
I got not even rage bait. I was a good, you know what? I'm going to continue with my point because it's a good, interesting point because I do like Japanese storytelling as a general thing more than Western storytelling. I'm setting up the alarms for all those people that say fucking West games are so fucking woke. They're just the wokest of woke, and it ruins storytelling.
I don't really have a preference.
No, but see, I have a preference. It's not built off something as stupid as that.
Right.
So, David, you fucking asshole, you got me. Because that's the kind of thing he knows I would respond to in a way that would make him laugh.
I like the idea that he was just sitting there watching and waiting because we recorded a whole other podcast before this.
I should have known when he used my name.
Anyways, Act 3.
Act 3. It goes into the dumbest follow your target segment in any video game I've ever played. Because it just goes on.
Act 3?
And on and on. And it's not fun.
I don't remember him talking about Act 2.
He got through it real quick.
I got through it real quickly because it's fun. You can play around. I could actually narrow down on that a little bit more. You can really hyper focus on using the war that's happening between the PMCs and the rebels, both using either stealth elements or action.
I was expecting the rebels to shoot at me in Act 2.
They do if you shoot them.
Yep.
This guy found out.
Yeah. Because I got the mech on my side.
If you watch the cutscene beforehand, you see Laughing Octopus disguised as Old Snake killing a bunch of the rebels. But it's so you'd think that the rebels be hostile towards Old Snake.
So we're gonna switch up our structure of how we do this, and we're gonna talk about each act here in a bit. So I'll get through that real quick. Let's get through this segment.
But it has a lot of the acts past that point just are inundated with cutscenes. Less Act 4, but we'll get into that later. And 3 is especially egregious, and the gameplay segments that are available aren't really good. So it kind of cuts your legs out from under you. Point is that when I think about this game, I can't help but think that I was just annoyed with the amount of cutscenes that were being thrown my way, to where a replay would make me higher on this game because I would skip all of them, and I wouldn't have to sit there and listen to them. Maybe not with the mission briefing. But, especially coming off of 3, where you can play around with the environment so much, this one kind of pigeonholes you into doing a follow quest or riding on a motorcycle or going through an old map. And it doesn't really incentivize fresh gameplay. Even the stealth mechanics are kind of made dumb by having an octo camo that immediately shifts to whatever your environment you're on is whatever environment you're sneaking up against, whether you're on the ground or whether you're up against a wall, and it would make stealth far easier than it ever had been in other Metal Gear Solid games, to the point where I would only really get caught when I was carelessly going around corners, which is even easier to check due to the third-person gameplay that I think makes stealth somewhat better, but it's brought back again by the fact that active camo just makes every stealth encounter pretty easy, unless they happen to just come up right up on you. Especially that follow mission I was talking about. When I realized I thought they took away that octo camo. When I found out you can actually put it on again, it immediately became a simpleton's game of, basically crawl on the ground and don't get caught.
I didn't put it back on. I stayed in the trench.
I did for most of it. But it really is, I just need to stress, there are just so many cutscenes that any benefit and positive you can give to this game is lost in all of them. And to the point,
I'm not going that far.
There are certain, very strong segments, and I mean ones that last for 5 minutes or 10 minutes that stand out in my mind. But that's it. Mainly because those first 2 acts where the most gameplay happens, feels like it's the smallest part of the game in comparison to the next couple acts. And, I just can't really think of any experience where you do this the way games are meant to be played, where you go through the narrative and you go through the gameplay segments without removing one of those entirely. And that's the only way to really enjoy yourself in this game to the fullest.
Is either you just watch cutscenes or you just play game.
Or yes. Yeah, basically.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, this is also your first time through Metal Gear Solid 4.
That's the thing. I wouldn't even recommend watching the cutscene because they're not even that good. The narrative isn't enough to hold through, not character, not thematics. There's very few things I can even praise about the narrative. I can at least give some, positives to that if it had something of value to offer. It really didn't.
Phil.
Yeah, so this was indeed my first time playing through Metal Gear Solid 4. And I think it wouldn't be far off for me to say that I was dreading having to play this game because of everything that I had heard about it. And I want to start off by just saying the things that I did not like about this game. The first thing is just how masturbatory a lot of the cutscenes are and how much the fan service just is and how prominent it is. But then, on the other hand, I started falling for the fan service. I'm not gonna lie, I started falling for it. And to arguably, this is a game where I've fallen for the most fan service in a franchise. Where I mean, people talk a lot about the new the new Mission Impossible movie and how it's just all fan service and how there's remember this guy from this movie? That's how I felt playing this game, but I wasn't bothered by it. I wasn't bothered. I was like, oh my god, it's Eva. Oh my god. It's just anytime something else came up it's oh my god, it's Mei Ling. Oh my god, it's all these cool people.
Every name he's named I've groaned at.
Mei Ling?
And what's wrong with Mei Ling?
I don't need her. Why is she here?
It's a cool callback.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, but she's
a captain of an aircraft carrier now, or a destroyer.
She becomes important to the plot, and I'm like, well, you weren't important to the plot in the game that you were in.
Neither was.
You don't think saving's important?
Saving is important. The function of saving is important.
Hey, neither was Medic. MGS3. That's her nice.
Yes.
Paramedic.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But imagine if Paramedic popped up in this game and was the most important. Oh, wait, she does. Anyways.
I'd say another thing that I didn't like, and I don't think I have a way to spin this like I did with the masturbation of all the fan service and everything for Kojima. Too pervy.
Too pervy.
Way too pervy.
Way too pervy.
Entirely too pervy to the point where I don't think I would have been comfortable having my wife next to me watching me play this game.
I almost thought it would be interesting, if you had asked Ashley to watch alongside with you.
She wouldn't have.
But as I was playing, I was like, I wonder if she would kind of enjoy some of the storytelling elements here. She wouldn't understand it, but I wonder if she would enjoy it. And then I got to Laughing Octopus, and I went, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. No. But overall, we mentioned in Piggy Bank when we were kind of doing some kind of foreshadowing as to when we were about to record this about how one of us said this is our second favorite Metal Gear game. That was me.
I
said
leading
that
into Act 3 or
in the middle
Act
of Act
3?
2,
Yeah.
Act 3.
Yeah.
Tailing the guy.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you see the little guy following you.
That's incredible that you caught that.
Yeah.
Most players, 90% of players don't catch that.
I'm honestly, I was so surprised when you said that because I was like, how do you not notice?
You're not looking behind you like that. You're just watching this guy.
Honestly, I didn't even watch him that much. I just listened for him.
Huh?
Oh, that's fair.
Because he's whistling the entire time.
Oh, I see. Like, no, not the guy following you.
No,
Say.
the guy that you're following is whistling the entire time. So like I would, that tailing mission leads into other like areas. So like there's the quick loading screen, and so there was a quick moment where I was like, oh fuck, where is he? He just went to this loading zone. I followed him in. Where is he? And then he started whistling. I was like, oh okay, there.
Yeah, I hate it because like I'll be right on him. I'll be right fucking on him, and he keeps moving during the loading screen, and I don't.
Yep.
So then you got to find him again. That's where I'm like, all right, come on.
That's something else I wasn't a huge fan of, but.
So in that moment, you were like, "This is my second favorite."
Yeah, I was like, dude, I think this might be my second favorite Metal Gear Solid game because like the vibes of that mission were so Mission Impossible to me.
They are, and
like it's just so cool. I don't know. There's something about it that I was super into.
I've always thought. I don't think I've ever said it properly. I think the team that makes Mission Impossible, the director. I don't need Tom Cruise in it, but like, like that production company and just everybody who works on those movies, I want them to make it a hopeful, eventual Metal Gear Solid movie, but I doubt we'll ever get that anytime soon.
Yeah. But to kind of continue with me saying that it was my second favorite, kind of my favorite. It's kind of my favorite one. I know it's not the best one. It's far from the best one. The best one is still by far Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But this one is my favorite.
Okay.
This one is...
Listen, I'm so glad we have one of these people at the table. Because these people exist online, too. Where they're like, we love 4. 4 is the greatest, like, or so much fun and great. It has all these great things. I'm so glad we have one at the table.
Like, I love the Octo Camo. I love the amount of choice in that the game gives you of, like, you can play however you want. Like, I was kind of switching it up between acts. I was probably like a good 75%. I was stealthy, like just using the trank gun the whole time. Act 3, I dug into the Mosin Nagant, the tranquilizer sniper. Dug into that a little bit.
Oh, you did get that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that was like a New Game Plus thing. So like when I saw it in the weapon selection, I told Connor, I was like, don't use that.
No, I had full access to it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you just tried to inhibit my game play.
You used it.
I only used it for Act 3.
Yeah.
I killed a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can look at my thing for how many people I killed.
I don't remember the number.
I'll pull it up for when we do talk about the acts and everything. But yeah, I love the amount of choice it gives you, and like you can play however you want, and the Drebin point system is so fun to me. Just the amount that you can kind of play and fine tune how you want your experience to go. I just really enjoyed it. The big negatives for me are kind of what I talked about and just how long the cutscenes are. That also is why I know it's like, not why, but it's one of the reasons why I know it's not one of the best games is because of like how often my eyes would glaze over in some of the cutscenes. It's like, oh my God.
I was on Twitter a lot during this one,
I had Pokemon TCG Pocket on my phone, like auto battling while I was playing the game. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time with this game, and that's so surprising for me going into this game dreading having to play it. And
I had a suspicion you would like it.
I had a great time playing this game.
So, gentlemen, let's kind of get into it and have a more open conversation. I decided to structure this one just because this game's a little weird.
It's very weird.
Again, how do you talk about this game? When I mentioned it before in my little review, it's hard for me to recall all of the fun, good gameplay elements of it when I'm just thinking cutscene. And I think of when I look back on a game, I always have like an emotion that is predominant. This one was boredom, which is never a good thing. I was bored through most of my experience with this game, and
Ew, not
Woo!
Yeah, not
this
that
is gonna
so
be
great.
a fun one to rank. This is gonna be a fun one. So
I'm not
think-
gonna be crazy. Like I literally
No,
just said,
I didn't
I'm
think
gonna
you
take I'm gonna take subjectivity out of it and like my own personal like. Oh man, this is my favorite one. I know it's not the best one. It's easily gonna go below 3 and 2.
this is
like,
probably
3 and 2, not 1. He said.
not one. He said
We'll see.
that's nuts.
We'll see.
This is probably my least favorite Metal Gear Solid game.
That's wild.
Like sometimes I think I don't even like this game. I think I just kind of I'm kind of meandering on my personal feeling about it. I just think it's an okay. Objectively, I think it's an okay game with a lot of problems.
Bill, I'm gonna say it right now. You're gonna fucking adore 5. I think. You're
Oh, yeah?
gonna,
I don't think he will.
You don't think so?
Well, I think he'll like it. But I think like that game's got another
all other things.
Anyways, so we're gonna go through act by act a little bit, not in like hyper big breakdown of plot
Yeah,
detail.
this
We're not
isn't-
gonna do that.
This isn't like a plot recap.
It's just sort of a way to kind of guide our conversation so
Point
that
to
we can
point.
hit all the different points that we all want to talk about because there's a lot to talk about in this game.
yeah, there is.
So let's start off Act 1, Liquid Sun, the Middle East. I've written down a couple of subtopics
War has
per act that I
changed.
want to talk about. So if we don't hit on something, we can't talk about it, but there is a big chunky thing that we're going to get to eventually about each
War has
subtopic.
changed.
I think the first thing people, gamers, fans will notice is the gameplay change. Now,
Like war.
Like war. It's
war has changed.
It's changed.
All right, I
you
will
know?
say because before we go into the acts,
War has changed.
Yeah.
war has changed. All out, war never changes.
Yeah.
All out's more correct. Definitively.
Well, yeah, because there's no nanomachines in real life.
Yeah.
Well,
This is we had a big ass debate. He came home drunk as fuck and came ranting to me one night. And I was like, and I just kept going, but Connor, in the fiction of this world, it has changed.
It has changed.
It is different.
And again, that's kind of just a step down.
Guns
from-
don't have some kind of ID system where like you can't pull the trigger on it if you don't have your ID set.
Now,
to
you
the
guys
gun.
are going to disagree with me on this point. This opening monologue of how war has changed is more iconic and I think just cooler in general than the war never changes monologue.
No.
A lot of that has to do with the fact the war never changes. Monologue goes in different ways every single time.
Fallout's not even a war game.
It's all about the after effects of.
I mean, it's the aftermath of war is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the full of
I do agree with you though, Tavin. My stressing is of that line on its own, because some people would argue that war has changed using
War has
what happened in 4 as a reflection of our modern society. When I think it's more relevant to it never having really changed. Even just the methods in which it's waged have changed. But by that same token, war has changed every other time war has been waged in most periods of history, like World War I, World War II, hell, even the Afghanistan war. But at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. But the core of why war is fought did never change.
But did any of those wars have little tiny Metal Gears that moo and shit green diarrhea?
They did not.
But
they did have tanks at one point.
What about those same ones that you can shoot in the leg and make them fall down?
They're the same
those
ones.
are just geckos. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm talking
That's what I'm saying. The same ones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I think the biggest
And they
change
do, they
that
do like karate moves if you get too close to them.
they do, yeah, they kick you real hard.
Leg sweeps.
Take out half your health.
This is the most crazy Snake well, I guess this is the only time he's ever done this, but Snake going ragdoll is the fucking funniest thing in the world to
Dude,
me.
it caught me so off guard.
just
just get flopping like that.
Because at most in 3 and in 2 he'll just get knocked down and then he'll just get right back up.
It was such like a Half-Life flop too.
It felt like Breath of the Wild. It felt
Yeah.
it does the same thing.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
But anytime a gecko swept me with its leg, or specifically in the crying wolf fight, if it went too close to me and shot the little, it's like a little grenade launcher or something that it has or something like that.
Never happened to me, so I don't know.
And because I was staying prone, and did you ever in that fight? Did you ever did the camera cut to crying wolf being close? To
It
you?
has in past playthroughs. It has not this time.
Yeah, so I was in that little gated area,
Okay.
against on the ground against the wall, and it was going to the left side, and it gave me that little thing. I was like, "That's weird. Is that a weird mechanic of this fight, or is that just the weird quirk of the game?" And then it was launching stuff at me because I guess it saw me, even though I had 95% camo on and I didn't move.
It's weird stuff sometimes.
And then I ragdolled.
So gameplay is the biggest change here.
Yeah.
We are moving to, instead of a isometric camera and the square being your action button or weapon button rather, we're moving to a more traditional third-person shooter over the shoulder. Hold the what should be triggers, but on the PS3 it's your bumpers and so forth and things like that.
I'll say bothered me for like the first half of the first act, and then I got over it.
Or maybe it was the whole first act.
I think it's yeah.
Me, though.
I don't know. I'm so mixed on it because again, like I think the game design is still like how the AI acts and interacts is still rooted in the original 3 games. Is like way of thinking.
I was referring specifically to the
to
the
feeling. Yeah, I agree with you. It like I think it is a little weird that like punch and grab is on the right bumper.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like.
Well, grab's on the left bumper.
No.
That's for me.
The CQC grab somebody?
Oh, to like do the quick like throw? I'm talking about like literally like holding somebody and like
yeah, that's all on R1.
See, and that's
pretty sure it was on L for me.
No.
Regardless of the button it was on, I found, comparative to my other Metal Gear Solid experiences, where of course I would always trank people, shoot them in the head, I would always go up and grab them. For this game, it has to do with the level design. I felt like I definitely did that far less than I had in other Metal Gear Solid games, because it seems like it never really incentivized you to do that. In fact, it seems like you would get caught doing that more
They flood the
often
levels with dudes because especially in these first 2 acts where you are where you are given the most freedom mechanically.
That too.
It's a war zone, so it's a flooding of NPCs who can see you, catch you, draw attention to you, all these different things. So you just end up. I feel you just end up just lying on your stomach most of the game and popping headshots from afar. Yep. And so I'm like, it's just that. And it's why like games like Phantom Pain add weight drop off to the tranquilizer gun, because the tranquilizer gun in all of these games is super overpowered.
Yeah.
It's the most overpowered weapon in the franchise by far. But in this game, it's ridiculous.
MVP for the vamp fight. MVP.
Oh my god, crazy, right? In this game, it's ridiculous.
For the vamp fight?
The tranquilizer?
It functions the exact same.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's an instant knockdown rather than having to put his health down.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, you stab him with the syringe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's an instant knockdown to where you go up behind him and then stab him with the syringe.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see. I thought it just did the same thing as regular. That's interesting. Anyway, so like the trank having no knockdown and you having so much control over where you're aiming, and it's much more fine-tuned than it was in any of the other games. It's just too easy to knock these headshots and just take out all the combatants. You don't feel creative. You feel like you don't feel like you're interacting with the scenario. You just feel like you're handling them all the exact same way, and it feeds into my Octo Camo, but you have something to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, not even necessarily about Octo Camo. We can get into that specifically.
I have a thing about Octo Camo. I love that you love it, but I don't like it.
And
one of my biggest complaints of MGS3 was how often you had to dig in menus. And
that's true.
They eliminated that.
I'm gonna flip that.
I'm so happy.
My only issue, to just touch on 3 a little bit, I wish they had a specific menu to operate in the same way you operate with the guns and your equipment to switch camo. But I do like how that game makes you try out what's best for the
You're
scenario.
saying like the weapons and items, and you hold the triggers to bring up the items and so forth.
Like a quick select.
If there was a camo version of that, that would probably fix all of my problems.
It would.
And we're getting it in the Delta remake, which I think is hilarious.
Exactly.
Like a quick select for the camo?
Yeah, and then it the screen wipes and then it comes back and you're in that camo now. I have a huge problem with Octo Camo. It makes this game way too fucking easy.
Yeah, can I say...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. We're going all over the place, kind of. To your point earlier about how, it is so much easier to do stealth, and you do kind of the same thing, stay on your stomach, shoot guys with your trank or whatever. It's why, in those first 2 acts specifically, because they're very comparable compared to all of the other ones, you just go balls... You kind of open me to this, because usually I go against that with Metal Gear Solid games, but just start fighting, Start treating it like a third-person action shooter, and you have more fun than engaging with a stealth mechanic. And I find that to be an issue when you're playing a Metal Gear Solid game. And
I do as well.
It's not even doing that much more amazing than the other third-person shooters of the time are doing. Like Uncharted around that time is far better at that. And that's a game that's centered around its action-adventure style combat, whereas this one, it just felt like a breeze when I all of a sudden got in that mindset. And it became more fun, but at the same time, this kind of goes away after Act 2. You know, you play around with it in 1 and 2, and then it goes back to doing stealthing again, which that's where I'll stop my point before we get into 3, but yeah. Going to, Octo Camo is the big
Octo Camo just makes the player want to stay on their stomach the whole time, and yes, it is annoying to dig into the menus all the time in Snake Eater. I've always felt you don't need to do it as much as your first instinct tells you to do it, and you didn't always have the perfect camouflage in Snake Eater. Sometimes you just had to make do with being at 65%, and that forced you to engage in the encounter in a different way. You had to be creative or else you were going to get caught and shit was going to get messy, right? Here, the solution is always just lie on your stomach, wait for the camouflage to switch over, and then if someone happens to see you and starts working their way to you, they're not going to see you before the camo switch, which gives you more time, and then you just pop the headshot and you're fine. Like, and you're just always going to be fine. Like, there's no getting in trouble in this game. It's just always, all right, I'm going to keep crawling, and if I get seen, I'm going to pop a headshot, and then I'm going to keep crawling. Like, and that's just frustrating to me. And on top of that, I think context was always something that was intrinsic to the level and gameplay design of the other games, and it's kind of just not important here. All these levels you interact with all these levels kind of the same way, and in the other games, there would be something to switch it up in some way. Now, in 1, it was really gimmicky with how they would switch things up. Here is the room with the poison gas. You will never find another room with poison gas in the entire game, you know? But
hey, you can't shoot your weapon in this room, otherwise...
You can't shoot your weapon in this room. It would be a bunch of one-off things that never showed up again. But I like that more than this. In 2, here's rooms with cameras. Here's rooms where boxes are moving, so you can run alongside boxes. Here's rooms with different levels that you can jump up and down between to try and escape guards. The use of lockers and vents were more creative in 2. And then in 3, like our camouflage does this as well, but then just layout of level design was just way more varied and interesting. Your interiors felt dramatically different than your exterior level designs and so forth, and it just generally it just all felt different in this game. And a lot of it is centered around Octo Camo, but I think just generally just the game and level design in general is really samey. Now it's a creative samey, but it's all the same. If I show you one good magic trick, oh, wow, that's a good magic trick, right? But I show it to you 5 times, you go, you got anything else? Like, you're obviously really good, but, can you do anything else? I don't think this game does anything else. Except when it gets really annoying with the tailing mission.
Like I was going to say, I'm not the biggest fan of tailing missions, but I was a fan of the fact that they used it to break up the monotony.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of felt like that was a good time to do, in my playthrough of the game, that was a good time to bring the tailing mission in there.
On paper, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know what I honestly think is, not narratively, but the style of Act 4, where that's a stealth mission. That is you are sneaking, and you gotta figure out how to be creative in that, right? That needs to mechanically switch with Act 3. If you get, it's like, okay, you had your fun blasting and shooting and experimenting with mechanics. Now we're gonna be tough stealth, and you should be stealthy, or else you're gonna have a time. And then if
they did do
tailoring.
that,
yeah.
Well, you're saying mechanically you want that in Act 3?
I want the hardcore stealth in Act 3.
Oh, okay.
And then 4 can be your gimmicky tailor / set piece level.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I kind of like how they used that for Act 4, because that was hey, we're back in Shadow Moses.
The nostalgia bomb, yeah.
But there's that, but also it's
you have to do Shadow Moses in Act 4. It doesn't work.
We're locked in. Hey, this is a stealth mission again. Yeah. We're back to the first game. You need to do it again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's where it shines for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tricky balance. I don't feel like they nailed it, but yeah, you're on paper, you're very, very right, and I submit to that.
Have we kind of gone over into Act 3?
No, we're nowhere near there. I want to make a note about being location based, as in the terms of we are a globe trotting thing. I enjoy that.
I'm super into it.
I think I think it makes sense coming off of the last 3 games, 1 location, kind of 2 locations in the second game, and then a big, like, huge, like, area, damn near almost like a country in the third, and then we're going to the world in 4.
We're globe
I guess that kind of makes sense, right? I just feel like it messes up pacing in this. I don't feel the momentum from act to act. Like,
I absolutely did.
Okay, well,
It really worked for me. Like, I really liked the first act was, Afghanistan. Or was it Afghanistan in the first one?
Just the Middle East.
Middle East. Okay, so you're in the Middle East, right? This is a war zone. This is pretty topical for the time. Because stuff
2008.
happening.
We're in the middle of a war.
Right.
Yeah.
We're reintroducing. This is kind of how get used to how to play Snake here, right? And then Act 2, we're in South America, Guatemala.
South America.
See, don't take any idea of location, but except for Eastern Europe.
I was gonna. Even that's fucking.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah,
better.
It looks
France. I don't know.
I would say either
Croatia.
France or Italy or
It's
something
based
like
off Croatia.
Croatia.
I guess
Or
that kinda makes
Czechoslovakia. One of the two.
Okay.
Maybe they're the same country now.
Then,
one of them's changed. Their
Act
names.
3, Europe. That's probably like my favorite location, except for Chatham fucking Moses.
Right.
That's like my favorite locale that we visit. And I really dug I brought it up before, but like the Mission Impossible-ness of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really worked for me. And Act 5 being on Outer Heaven.
Yeah, just
Outer Haven.
Yeah, that's so short. It's almost, yeah. Drebin.
I like him.
I like the character.
Yeah. He talks too
really,
much.
He doesn't really do anything.
I
have
you.
I-
Doesn't he go have?
I feel like that's not.
I feel like he goes like this, but like
okay.
he goes like close to his face.
Oh, okay. But mechanically, I brought up that IGN review. Mechanically, Drebin is a problem for me. Because the game keeps telling you, hey, this is stealthy. You got to be stealthy. Please be stealthy. And then they put you in a war zone, which like is an interesting idea. How do I sneak through a war zone is an interesting idea. But then they give you a massive arsenal of the most cool, badass weapons ever. But, if you want to be stealthy, don't use those. Well, I'm going to use the fucking weapons and just the way the gameplay works with getting the weapons off of downed soldiers and selling them back to Drebin to get more weapons to help you in boss fights. Like, the gameplay loop just helps you to play into that system. And I think the game works better to play into that system. Then the game keeps telling me to not do it.
But my question to you is, why do you feel like you should? Because you can.
One, because it's cool.
Okay.
It's cool to load up and equip my M4 with all the cool little scopes and grips and laser targets and all that thing. That's cool.
And I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But
two, the game's just more fun to do it that way.
No, I understand. For me, I didn't really go balls out until I'm with the rat. They call him
Rat Patrol 1.
Rat Patrol 1.
Yeah.
And then when we're escaping, that's when I'm going guns out. Balls to the wall, like fully just killing all these frogs.
Sure, yeah, but do you have the question then becomes, do you have the Drebin points necessary to buy the cool balls out weapon if you hadn't been collecting weapons all the whole time up to that point?
If you're putting people to sleep, they drop them, so you can't.
Yeah, but like, what's the difference between putting everybody to sleep and just killing everybody versus putting key figures to sleep and trying to sneak through as quickly as you can?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where it speaks to the openness of and like freedom of choice that it gives you, right? Sure. Where you can go balls to the wall as much as you can afford, right? Like in the opening. But if you play it how I played it and just put everyone to sleep and pick up all their fucking weapons, and then you're allowed to then make all these outrageous purchases and go crazy as you're escaping with the Rat Patrol.
I just feel like in games, if there is a clear golden, like this is the most optimal way to do things, or in this case, this is just the most fun way to do things, then it kind of negates the idea of, but you can choose not to.
Okay. That's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I was like, okay, wherever I can, I'm going to stealth. I'm going to end up using these weapons eventually.
Sure.
Because I want to have fun, right?
Right.
But for the time being, I'm going to sneak around, And then whenever things kind of go chaotic, because they kind of go chaotic in every act a little bit.
A little bit.
So like,
I think it depends on where you are in the level. There are moments in the levels where I'm like, okay, I am sneaking through.
Yeah.
South America, we're about to jump into Act 2, so we can talk about some other stuff that aren't so gameplay focused, and we can kind of start moving through some of these bits. South America is a great example. The first few like zones in South America, I think, are super stealth based, and you can get through there. But then you get to that electric plant where there's just a huge battle happening. At that
guys
point,
on turrets, people running up.
turrets and mortars and you know, all these things, people with RPGs. At that point, yeah, I'm just blasting through. But the game keeps telling me, Otacon keeps calling me on the codec and telling me, hey, you are not involved in this conflict. You don't need to partake in it. And you just need to sneak your way through to get to your actual objective.
The only time he called me or didn't even really call me, he just kind of said over the radio, was in Act 1, where he's like,
that's the point I'm talking about.
Okay.
I know I'm mixing up
He's
my...
over-exaggerating is what he's doing.
Okay.
All right. What is your thing?
Oh, well, just that those are where the game becomes most fun. Because, you know, to your point what you were saying, as far as like, yeah, you're not supposed to engage in it, I feel like Solid Snake is a guy who he loves war. He loves partaking in war. He's always done it. He feels like the life of a soldier is all that he knows what to do. And there's points like, when example, Akiba in Act 2 puts his gun at Solid Snake, and he kind of enjoys being like, Act 1, yeah. He puts the gun in Solid Snake's face, and he's just like, you know, your gun's not ready. He like criticizes him, right?
It's the reference back to the Meryl
Back to
moment.
1, it's like, he had the safety on.
And that's kind of who I think Solid Snake is. I see him helping out those rebels as being like something he would ideally do. Like, because he's not going to do what Otacon tells him to do. Just because he says that, what is Otacon's like opinion on war relevant in this entire thing? Never really is.
But like, I feel that the narrative of the game flies in the face of that, because these are all proxy wars that don't matter. And Snake knows they don't matter. And Snake knows whatever the rebels or cause they're fighting for isn't a real cause. They're not freedom fighters. They're just victims of the capitalization of war in this world.
You're right. That comes into conflict with the fact the story isn't very well done.
Yeah.
But because you are right. That is, it's mainly when you like, I go out of my way to make sure, we'll talk about them in a little bit, the bosses are taken out non-lethally. I would kill every single boss prior to this in every other Metal Gear game, but this one...
This is the one that rewards you the least for not killing them.
But it's like there's narrative reasons as to why it's like, oh, you should be killing these people non-lethally.
Metal Gear 3, I was the least bloodthirsty out of any of the games.
Funny enough. Because I don't care about the lives of Russians, so I was just killing them left and right.
All right.
But real quick. Point is, though, that my point that I should have written down so I don't forget it would have helped. But yeah, the whole aspect of, you know, going back to the nature of war is that Snake is presented as this cold, unfeeling, mainly by Drevin. Like he's almost the embodiment of war, the way he perceives of things. They say this like later on. Like,
I know. I don't agree with that characterization of Snake.
Neither do I. And I'm saying that that's an issue because when I go out of my way, and the narrative kind of goes out of its way to make you feel sympathy for the boss fights and to take them out non-lethally, and I do so, and I'm almost treated it as if though I killed them.
Do they make you feel sympathy for the boss fights?
I do, yeah.
In this one,
let's dive into the B&Bs.
They like try to whenever Drebin like calls you about them.
Even before that, when you see them like mentally breaking down, and it introduces them in the first act.
What is the reward for non-lethally taking him down?
It doesn't matter what you do during the Beast fight. It's only in the Beauty fight at the end. You just get their face camo.
Right.
That's
cosplay as a woman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Happy Pride Month, by the way.
At the beginning, when I was using, we'll get into it a little bit with Act 3, I did Laughing Octopus's camo on my face because it slightly blended in better in the Russian world. Like, based off the walls and areas I was putting up myself against with the trench coat on, it just worked better. But, small little thing.
He knew he could put a face camo on, but he didn't know he could
didn't
put
go to Octo.
the full Octo camo on.
No, because I was
like I said, I fully knew you could go back. I just chose to stay in the trench coat with the young snake face.
An interesting challenge for yourself. I like that. I like that you chose to do that. So let's talk to B&Bs. I don't like them. I would probably even say I hate them. This is the most like egregious group of Metal Gear bosses I've ever seen in my life, where they Connor, you can say that it worked for you. It doesn't work for me. I do not sympathize with
I'm
them.
not.
I think
the emotional aspect of it.
conceptually, I like all of them except for Raging Raven.
Like in terms of like how they play and how they
Yeah.
fight. Okay, I can feel that. Yeah, Raging Raven's my least favorite.
Yeah.
It does not work to me that you're just showing me these psychopaths who are just they're so crazy and bloodthirsty. And
Screaming
then
Mantis is helping suppress their emotions.
right, and then now you gotta now they're sexy and you want to fuck them, and then they had a tragic backstory.
Let me
so
tell
you should feel sorry for them.
Let me give you this 6-7 minute backstory on this lady that you just killed.
That don't work.
It's not that did it. It's the moment when you beat their beast form and they're breaking down into their beauty form. They're more who they are as a person. And you get the sympathy of like, well, these aren't just like the people who I killed before, who are all the bosses from other Metal Gear games where they're enemy combatants that are trying to fight me. One guy killed a bunch of people earlier with bees. I have no issue shooting the hell out of him. The pain! And then you have that moment where you're like, well, I feel like Snake, because of what he's seeing, would take them out non-lethally. And that's the way you should be doing it. It's almost like the game tells you that without saying it. And yet, at the same time, the narrative flies in the face of it.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, I don't even think Snake would care about being non-lethal here. Like, I don't think Snake is non-lethal. Like, in general.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think he's actually that guy.
Is it possible to do Screaming Mantis non-lethally?
I don't know.
Yeah, because the way you beat her, it takes down her health, not her stamina.
Beast. Only the beast when you... Because
then she turns into the beauty.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like... And even like this is their true form. The camera just literally goes straight to the ass and titties, man.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to feel sorry for these things?
It's not done
because they're sexy. Like,
right
not
back to
done
the too horny of this game. Too horny.
It is. It's not good. Like, this is the weakest. This is the only time. Well, that's not the only. It's the only time with the entire catalog of bosses, or at least the core catalog of bosses, being the BBs. Where afterwards I was like, okay. You know, I didn't hate them, but they were nothing bosses.
But also,
I'm sure they say it in that introduction, but I never realized that the BB stood for Beauty and Beast.
I don't think they said it either.
I mean, they don't literally go, they're called the Beauty and the Beast core.
Yeah,
and then for shorthand, probably Drebin immediately starts calling them the B&Bs.
Yeah.
So you, as a player, just start, going, all right, it's the B&Bs.
And then I was like, oh my god, that's why Raiden at the end, whenever he's looking at himself and Rose, he's like, oh, it's like a real Beauty and the Beast story. Oh my god.
Oh, fucking. Anyways. I wrote down here for a subtopic, mission briefings. We've kind of blasted through that. Those are long and boring, and I frankly don't need to be there.
I didn't even realize until Act 3 that you can, until Act 4, rather. Yeah. That you can control the little Mark II, or I guess at that point it's the Mark III, and run around and collect batteries.
Explore the little plane, which is neat. Thanks for giving me something to do during these long and boring cutscenes. I also have a problem with the presentation of cutscenes. I have a problem with a lot of things with the cutscenes in this game. Everybody's so fucking melancholy. Everybody is so fucking monotone. There's not a lot of vocal delivery differences from line to line. Literally two characters between Raiden and Snake sound the fucking same. There's no music cues to change the tension or the emotion of the scene in mission briefing specifically.
Yeah.
And just generally, I have a really big problem with how blocking is in the cutscenes in this game, which is a weird thing to care about in a video game. I don't know if I've ever cared about it in a video game before. Anytime somebody is feeling something, they have to take 3 to 4 steps forward and maybe grab their mouth or adjust their glasses or do something. The amount of times Naomi, for no reason, takes 3 or 4 steps in just a direction and goes, you can't figure out any other way to make us understand that she's feeling something. This is Jennifer Hale. We are now at a point in animation where you can trust your facial animators to convey the feeling. I don't need her or anyone else. Otacon does it too, and it drives me fucking nuts. And to just take 3 or 4 steps every time they want to do something.
and them going into that hyper-focused, hyper-realistic, or at least close to it, graphic design, I think is where it starts drawing it back. Because they were able to do that with, like, MGS3, but not so much where they weren't able to do, like, those facial expressions you're talking about. And they are just lacking here. Old Snake, right? To touch on that real quickly, because he is the only character in which him acting differently than his character had already been established as makes sense because he's dying. But the thing is, and you mentioned this too, I was thinking in terms of the context of like, well, he's dying, so that makes sense. But I changed it kind of to where, why is he dying? Why is he getting old? At least, why is he getting old? There's two parts to it. Even there's him getting old and him going to die because he's becoming a biological weapon. Those things were separate, right? Like they weren't exactly the same.
So it's one of those things in the South America cutscene with Naomi.
Yeah.
They don't deliver this well. So I'm probably even going to mess this explanation up. Naomi says he's got about a year. That's because he's a clone and his cells are aging faster than they should, right? But then she also says, no, you don't. You actually only have 6 months because Fox Die is killing you because it's mutating inside you and killing you. But you don't even have 6 months. You actually have 3 months because Fox Die mutating is going to turn you into a biological weapon and you're going to start killing anybody and everybody around you.
Yeah.
So Snake goes, so I got 3 months to do what I got to do and then I got to kill myself? And she goes, yep.
Just have that.
It would be okay, Connor, if that is where we saw a change in him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't elicit a change in him. His change happens before the game starts, and he just becomes this old Snake character who I do not believe this is the Snake that we saw at the end of 2. This is probably the Snake I would believe exists at the beginning of 1. Where, I don't care, I'm just here for war. Yeah, that's Snake at the beginning of 1. And then Meryl and cheesy 90s video game writing, like, brought him back to life. You know, and he's a human being again. And then he spends his entire purpose for the rest of his life, this is his whole thing in 2, is I need to figure out how to make the world better so guys like me don't exist anymore, where we deal with this trauma of being used and manipulated by the government and just become tools of destruction. We are more than that. That's Snake's whole thing. That's his whole thing in 2 of find something to believe in and chase it. You know, that he tells right.
His name's John, right?
Yep. Yeah, John.
David.
Is his name David?
Yeah,
like
Big,
David.
Big Boss is Jack.
John,
Jack. Big Boss is one of those.
I think it's John.
Games. Solid Snake is David.
David Hayter.
I don't think that was connected, but it's because Otacon's name is Hal, and they make the whole 2001: A Space Odyssey joke.
Oh yeah. Which I was. This is going to kind of give away. We're going to keep talking about other acts.
Well, no,
I don't think
Space
a game.
Space Odyssey. It's. I'm sorry. Is it Dave or is it?
Yes.
I thought it was. I'm sorry.
Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't allow you to do that.
I thought it was.
And
I'm sorry,
I believe
John.
the computer is called Hal.
Yeah, Hal 9000.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and this is kind of spoiling where I might place this list or my overall like hardline opinions with what you're criticizing with Solid Snake, which should be the strongest part of this game, and he's not. And this can be extended to every other aspect of character and storytelling. And I don't think a game that, as you put with numbers, that is 49% cutscene can be considered a good game. With any other gameplay elements you have, if you're so...
I don't agree if the story was good.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't agree either.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's my issue.
I don't think it is. But let's talk about... Let's skip ahead through some of these notes here, and let's talk about the strongest part of this game.
Act 4.
Oh, Act 4. And just the huge nostalgia bomb that is going back to Shadow Moses.
Yeah. That dream sequence where you're back in the
beginning
of
fucking
MGS1.
Dude.
So good.
It's so good.
In that split second where you get kicked out of that dream and it's that pixel face
yes.
for 1 second.
And then you get to wear the face.
Also,
shout out if you don't like playing Old Man Snake, you can just wear the Solid Snake face. And you're like, all right, great. You're probably not going to do that. You're probably just going to wear the active camouflage thing because that's
what I did.
You know, it blocks the old man face anyway. You know? Yeah, Shadow Moses is great. I think it's
good.
What a perfect way to bring back something old and make it new again. It's broken down, much like our main character.
I really loved anytime you went to a spot that was like a major component of the first game.
Yep.
There's like the audio flashbacks.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. Hein D. Like, man. I couldn't get it to trigger here, but there is a way in that heliport area to like approach one of the cameras, and Snake like a little like tiny cutscene plays where Snake like
Security
steps
camera?
out from behind the wall. It looks at the camera, and the camera just falls off and breaks, and Snake goes, "Aw."
Miss the old days.
You know, it's good
That's
stuff like
funny.
that. I love that the Mark 23 pistol is underneath the truck, just like the
Yup.
original game. Like
Yup.
you start. I think it's the game's best designed level.
Funny enough.
Which is hilarious because it's from 1997,
Yeah.
and it's the exact same. But I think it's the game's best designed level. I think they did a really good job of knowing that the player knows the map,
Yeah.
and taking advantage of that and
Yeah.
having fun with that in a bunch of different ways. Between like on like the small thing of like, oh, this is the room with the laser tripwires. So
Yeah.
then they put the
bots.
the bots
Yeah.
doing the lasers. They go,
Yeah.
clever. Or this is the part with the trip mines or the claymores. Well, there's no claymores this time around, but there are geckos
There's
who are
geckos,
hiding there
yeah.
who will explode and kick your ass. And I'm like, all right, that's good use of you knowing that I know what's going on.
Yep.
Here, and then the story gets stupid with Naomi. Jesus Christ, Naomi's one of the worst characters.
Hang on. This will be a visual gag.
Which to strengthen that.
Do I need to change my camera? Or? Oh, okay.
Oh. What?
Vamp. I'm the
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
was
she's
she
rubbing
doing
up
that?
on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's like a part where she like goes to like grab his penis, and he's got a knife on his penis. So she like grabs the knife, and he grabs her hand and pushes it back down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, so you are whose side are you fucking on?
Right, right.
Like none of this makes any fucking sense. This is
Poorly
She's kind
characterized.
of just on her own side.
literally. And then
I like the.
I understand that Otacon has always been the wimpy little science dude who cries and pees his pants, right? But he's always been a little bit more than that. He's always been quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And in this game, he's just the wimpy little crybaby science guy who spends the game, a good portion of the game, just crying at his computer screen.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I understand. Heartbreak makes you cry sometimes.
It's true.
You knew this bitch for 35 fucking minutes. You fucked her once, and then now she's the love of your life? Otacon, you gotta do better than that, man. What are we doing here?
Yup.
So I will say, going back to the how fun it is to go through Shadow Moses again.
Uh-huh.
In Act 4, I liked they took away the normal soldier units that would always be in abundance and put the little robot guys
Yeah.
who work in abundance. They just, being able to easily take them out with the chafe grenade if it gets really serious. But just dodging their little lasers whenever you're going through the sneaky rooms was far more fun than any other stealth element that was included when you were going up against the PMCs earlier.
Because it's that contextual challenge that I was talking about earlier, where like we are changing how you engage with these mechanics, as opposed to we've got these mechanics, play with them. Like we are forcing you to do something different. That's where challenge lives in games here. And then all of this amasses to the best moment in it. Should we pause and talk about Raiden real quick before we get to that?
Like what aspect?
Cyborg Ninja.
I mean, he's badass.
He's badass as fuck.
He's badass. He's cool. Kind of just cool for the sake of being cool.
Yeah.
Rule of cool.
I'm
This
here
is
for
the
it, though.
problem of
Yeah.
being
So am I.
a 2008 Metal Gear Solid game where fans still hated Raiden.
Yep.
I hate Raiden in this game.
Now, see,
I
Tavin,
hate that he's a cyborg ninja. I hate that he's all depressed and an alcoholic.
cares? Who
I hate that he's an abuser to Rose a little bit.
How is he an alcoholic? The nanomachines get rid of the alcohol.
They do. He's never an
I
alcoholic.
don't know. They talk about how he was coming home drunk all
No,
the time.
Back before he was a cyborg.
Yeah.
Before he was a cyborg.
So he's
Before
an
he left.
alcoholic.
Before he left, though. Well,
The
before he was.
nanomachines cure that.
Yeah. It was fine.
I don't understand what the problem is. I hate that he was an alcoholic.
Oh, because of what happened with 2. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's not where we left him. That's not the character we had. We just made him become a victim of his
wonder-
backstory, in which he overcame in the second game.
Yeah.
I wonder,
In a bad way, too.
did he maybe become an alcoholic after Rose lied about the miscarriage?
No, this is before.
No, because this is before. Because she talks about how she was pregnant.
Right, but I'm saying between the time where she said she was pregnant at the end of 2,
Yeah.
right? And then
No, I'm saying in 4, she says to Snake, "I was pregnant and home, and he would come home late, and he would come home drunk and belligerent." Is
Oh.
what she says to Snake.
Maybe it's her covering, so maybe he wasn't actually an alcoholic.
We're writing for the game now. You know?
Which
Just saying.
I will say though, Tavin,
We never actually talked to Raiden about his alcoholism, quote unquote.
Maybe.
Which means
maybe-
Rose probably fucking made it up
Maybe
because she's
would've
a
been a
fucking
cool-
terrible character.
Yeah.
Maybe would have been a cool
dead.
fucking conversation for
Okay.
Snake and Raiden to have
I
instead
agree.
of just talking about Dr. Clark, who's paramedic.
Bill, we need to understand something here with Tavin, right? Tavin, there's a reason why he is not as big of a fan of Yakuza 0 as us. Because the rule of cool, because he's a loser, doesn't affect him the same way it should any other rational thinking person. He says he doesn't like what happened with the cyborg stuff and all the things that happened with him drinking and such because of what happened at the end of 2. What he's ignoring is all of the stuff relating to Raiden in 2 sucked. So none of that matters. And
I don't think it sucks.
shifting,
I don't think it
shifting to doing cool stuff instead of bad writing and diving more into that is the proper choice. I get what you're saying with all
don't
the
agree.
stuff outside the robot stuff. Outside the robot stuff,
I'm
yeah.
saying replace all the bullshit that's in this game with actual character writing. The characters don't have human conversations in this game.
Yeah.
They only talk about the plot and what's going on and what Liquid's doing, which that's a big question mark. What the fuck is Liquid doing for most of this game? Instead
He's
of
dead. He's not actually there the entire time. so.
Instead of Snake being like Raiden, what are you doing? We moved through this. I set you up, dude. We went on this great mission where we saved Sonny, which that should have been the plot of this game, is saving Sonny.
Liquid was just a lie. Wasn't actually there. He died in Metal Gear Solid 1. He was never actually there.
All of
I
the
know.
dumb thing. We'll
And
get to that
it's-
even more later.
Through all the psychotherapy and fucking whatever.
It offends me so much how much this game boils down characters to like caricatures that you make fun of, or just completely derails them from their arcs in the last time we saw them. And they do it to pretty much every major character.
For the sake of a bad narrative.
Literally.
Yeah.
So let's get into the best part of the game. Dude, you control Metal Gear Rex,
Metal Gear
bro.
Rex,
This
When
is
you're-
where
when
the
you're
rule of cool
stomping-
makes sense, Connor. This is
you're-
where the rule of cool, you go, oh, that's badass, I
When
like
you're
that.
just stomping through all those fucking geckos,
Fuck
like
yeah,
as you're running
What
through.
a great sense of scale, because you know how big a gecko is, and these guys are fucking an inch tall on the screen. You go, oh, Metal Gear is big.
Which I will say,
I think it was a fun way to, going back to Act 2, I thought it was a fun way to play with scale whenever you're on the turret on Drebin's car.
yeah,
I think that was fun too.
yeah, that too.
I will say that running segment's bad because I didn't
is.
realize I had weapons until like I was almost at the end, and I was like, "How am I so damaged? How can you do this without being damaged?"
This is
I
a
was
you
like,
problem.
Oh, but then I shot, but then I started shooting,
Uh-huh.
and it was only like the past 10 seconds, and I survived. I never died once.
You didn't see the big Gatling gun
No,
in the,
never
in
once.
the
I'm
corner of the
stupid.
screen?
Hey, it was my fault, but the fact that I didn't realize that and still got through the segment on hard. When was I supposed to fail?
It's a power fantasy
Yeah,
thing.
but and I like that, but then why not? Why even have a health bar at all?
Do
Why
you
not
want-
just go through it like Venom, for example?
Do you want this to be hard? I don't want
No,
that
I don't.
bit to be
I don't
hard.
want it to be hard, but it didn't even take any interact. Like I didn't have to interact with it
because we
at all.
have a combat challenge coming up.
My issue is I had no interaction with it,
Like-
rather than it was
okay.
hard.
Also, just to say, like in the part right after the run when you're fighting Liquid Ocelot in Ray,
Yeah,
isn't Ray supposed to be like way superior to Rex in every single way?
Ray is supposed to be the Metal Gear killer.
How shitty of a fucking pilot is Liquid Ocelot?
apparently not so good.
Pretty not good, man. He had all the advantages. Rex was fucked up.
I
You had a factory issue Ray.
Keep in mind, this is not Liquid, so he has no experience. In
Liquid Ocelot.
Liquid Ocelot, right?
I mean, Ocelot drove Metal Gear Ray in part 2.
That's true.
oh, he did. He
He
did.
drove Ray a lot.
Yeah, I guess the thing is,
This guy sucks.
yeah, he just sucks. Yeah,
really
he just
bad.
is.
But in one of our reviews for one of these games, the conversation of Ray versus Rex came up, and you know, I pointed out at the end of it, I was like, I can't wait to get to 4 because it answers questions that you guys are already subliminally asking yourselves, and it's which one would win if we took the action figures and mashed them together.
Like,
which one would win?
Overall, Rex is just so much cooler.
It
than
is,
Ray.
man. Rex is the best Metal Gear
Like,
series, man.
There's a reason, like, so many people have aped like the general
what are
design
you gonna say
element.
what is a better Metal Gear than Rex?
Shacklehod.
Shacklehod is not.
It's not as cool.
It's not as cool.
It's a cool concept because it's a big turtle. It's cool. But
It's different.
It's not nearly as cool as Rex or Ray. I think if you're gonna talk about like coolness between those three, it goes Rex, Ray, Shacklehod.
Maybe it's done badly in the narrative, but Sahelanthropus. The
Philanthropist?
No, that one
Philanthropist.
sucks. I don't like that one.
Design wise?
It's just a
That's one
big,
from 5,
it's just
yeah.
a big neck thing. Like it's
One
a
from 5?
Gungan.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
It's a Gungan, and I'm like,
The Gungan.
Gungan? No,
Gundam.
Gundam.
I was gonna say
Star
a
Wars.
Gungan's from Star Wars.
Philanthropist sucks. I hate it.
But no, I was gonna say, there's a reason like so many different. I mean, I have to say so many. There's a reason like Halo aped Rex's design for the fucking Mantis, right? Like Mantis mech.
Oh yeah,
It looks just like Ray.
Oh, for sure.
Or not
Yeah,
Ray,
yeah.
Rex.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear is the definitive mech.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a cool mech, you should be looking at Metal Gear.
I was misremembering it. Rex is the cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Shagohod is.
I was
but
like, you like the big
compared to
penis on
Shagohod-
Philanthropist? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I think it goes Rex, Ray, Shagohod in that order.
We've kind of touched on a lot of the other notes that I wanted to get to. The only one that I think really, really matters is everything needs explaining. Everything needs
And they'll explain it to you.
And they'll explain it to you. I hate that this game turned Vamp from mystical vampire to another nanomachine.
Nanomachines.
I hate that the answer is always nanomachine.
It is 90% of the time always nanomachines.
Right. I hate we had a ghost in the last game and we didn't address it.
Nanomachines.
Like, it was just a ghost, right? We had a vampire in game 2 and it wasn't really addressed. It was just there.
23-year-old man.
But they
Who
never actually.
has photosynthesis?
Yeah.
But
That's photosynthesis.
they never actually call him a vampire. They just say
His
vamp.
name is Vamp.
So
That's it.
that's not.
There is a hype recording that you can find on YouTube right now of your first time playing the game where Vamp is introduced and you go, why is he a vampire? Why is there a vampire in this world? And then the title name comes up and it's Vamp and I bust my ass laughing.
But they never actually call
never
him a
He
vampire.
sucks blood from a dude's neck.
You're talking about perceptions. He's talking about what a vampire actually is, and it never states that he is.
He's got cold breath in every environment he's in.
Well, actually, most people who would depict a vampire.
The cold breath is because your breath is hot in a cold setting.
Yes, but vampires have cold breath.
No.
It's always
that's-
shown by
Not
them
true.
breathing out cold.
But that would be the opposite.
I understand the like the thermodynamics of the hot breath and the cold air or whatever, but that's how in media that they show that somebody has cold breath is they
Tavin.
humans
Vampires
are stupid.
are undead.
Uh-huh.
They usually don't breathe. They have no need for it.
I've seen vampires come
They
out
have
with
to.
cold
I know.
breath.
They-
Yeah,
it's,
that
it's
happens
either
all the
it's,
time,
it's
yeah.
either what you're saying or they don't breathe. Am I wrong?
Did you guys watch Nosferatu?
Yeah,
The movie. I know. Oh, you did watch it.
it's well made. I think I've just decided I'm just that director makes movies that are not for me. A little too dark for me. Good art though. Great art. Great. Really well made.
Yeah. But anyway.
I hate that Kojima has to explain everything. Man, Rat Patrol 1 means Patriot, huh?
But before that,
Oh,
the fight
The
between
fight.
Ocelot and Old Snake.
really cool.
Really fucking cool.
Really cool.
The different phases of the fight.
Yeah.
Being
Very
each
cool.
of the games.
And they all play differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Badass.
really like it. It does commit the gaming sin though of I've spent the entire game playing this way, and you have thrown another video game at me in the last few moments, and now I'm frustrated because I'm
changed.
struggling to learn the mechanics of this thing while you're beating my ass.
It was
A little bit of
skill
that
issue.
is because I was playing on hard.
Yes, which is the thing where it becomes more of an issue because trial and error is fine.
Yeah.
It's annoying when you're also fighting a hard boss
Yeah.
for the first time, you know, in that way.
And-
What?
And there's just little small things that they do within the fight. There's always the transition from era to era. He always and he strikes the pose of whatever game he's about to elicit, right? Or
I like they changed the names.
yeah, that's good. In the life bars too. It's so cool. And every single time, the first time Ocelot knocks Snake down, yeah, he poses on you, he emotes on you, and you have to wait for a button prompt to get up. Every time you start that fight, if you get knocked down the first time, you have to wait, and it's just like all right, it's these tiny things that like just builds to my frustration.
Yeah.
You
Like,
could just not get knocked down.
It makes the trial and error
Easier said
so
than
much
done,
harder.
huh?
You definitely got knocked down. Come on,
I got knocked down once. Oh, twice.
How many
got
times,
up a lot faster the second time, didn't you?
how many times did you go through that boss fight?
Once.
Oh, for
I didn't
me,
fail a single time.
we died a number of times each phase because each phase you would have to.
You gotta learn.
You would have very little room for error, and you had to have error. It's trial and error.
For me, it was always like, hey, dodge either backwards or to the side, or jump forward and do a quick jab with the momentum of your jump.
I also don't
forward.
think I appreciate that he's trying to add some dynamic. He's trying to make a more dynamic version of what we did in the first game.
Yeah.
And by that he's like implementing fighting game mechanics, right? Which is cool. Not that great, and a lot of the times I feel like the hitboxes were off, and sometimes I'd get hit and I didn't feel like I should have gotten hit, and sometimes I wouldn't hit him and I feel like I should have, and like some of the dodge, like it didn't matter what direction I dodged sometimes, it's just that I had to dodge sometimes. There were times where I'm like, clearly I'm out of the way. His super punch that knocks out 70% of my health is not going to hit me, but because I didn't press the dodge button, it hits me.
It's more like 30%.
Come on, it's a lot. It's a lot of your.
It's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for one hit.
So fun. Oh, I'm sorry. Before this, I also like the fake out of the fox die. I don't know. You beat him in Ray.
I like it. I like it.
But just kidding.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it with you, bitch. Man, Raiden got hit by a boat.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
But then he comes back with lightning powers.
But no arms.
And no arms, and he's carrying it with his mouth.
I am Raiden. I am lightning.
I am lightning in the
rain. The rain transformed.
Great aura. Great aura in that moment. He's badass in that moment.
Dude, with the sword in his mouth, just aura farming. It was awesome.
Good on you, Raiden. You deserve it.
It's cool. Definitely cool. He got overwhelmed really fast. The microwave
hallway. Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Oh, at the end of that microwave hallway, as you're like mashing and everything, and when you get to the end, and there's all those little fucking robots rolling around.
Yeah.
That literally Act 5. I had finally purchased a grenade launcher. Fucking, you take care of those fuckers so fast.
I
just fucking grenade launch them.
I just run, and anytime they get close, you just roll, and then you're fine.
It's more fun to fucking just.
It is.
Get rid of them all.
I love the microwave hallway for button mashing segments in games. That's my favorite one.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not the hardest because I don't know if you can fail as long as you're pressing the button.
I don't know,
but I definitely felt the burn more than I had.
I don't know if I like it more than the first game's torture sequence.
I think that one's because that one's actually like challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one takes the cake just because I hate giving things credit just because they did it first. I hate doing that. I'm the one that's against that the most. I think the context
here is different enough to where it's like
warranted.
I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, this one did it first.
Like
the button press.
I think button mashing.
I think that one's my favorite, or what I would call the best one, and then this is a close second.
There's that moment in one after you're done where they're like, "Hey, put the controller up to your arm. We're gonna massage you."
Yeah.
I could have used that this one. This is the one where I was like, "Yeah, I'd really like. I feel burned. My arm burns right now." You know.
Gotta get your mashing game up, dude.
Man, it's a great game. Hey, I'm still up here. I'm still out here. You know.
There's some great writing in that final act. Moments. Overwhelmed by
the
moment.
The moment of Meryl and Akiba blasting frogs while they talk about getting married.
That's what I'm saying. That's fucking Pirates of the Caribbean 3 energy.
Super great. That's where real Meryl comes out and goes, "No, marry me." And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what. And then immediately throws it away with, "It's always been my dream to be a bride." No, it hasn't. That's not been your dream.
She was saying,
I also don't like that we're marrying Mr. Poopy Pants.
No, she wasn't saying it wasn't her dream to be a bride. It was saying it was her dream to have that type of wedding. I
think she says the line.
I think she does too, yeah.
No.
I thought she specifically said, you played it more recently.
Yeah, it wasn't my dream is to be a bride. It's like, I want a real wedding with all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, a dress and a cake.
That's been my dream since I was a little girl.
Does she not say something to the effect of, "I've always wanted to be a bride"?
It's what he just said.
No.
It is it? Okay.
It's always it's been a dream of mine to have a real wedding that's separated from.
I think she caps it by saying, "Ever since I was a little girl."
Yes.
Yeah. It's not good because it is just like
it doesn't feel like Meryl to me.
Yeah.
But she has a fucking gun holster while she's in her dress.
That's very Meryl. That's very Meryl.
It's awesome.
I'm just saying, if you just cut that line, and I'm like, cool.
Also, by the way, Akiba's a good guy.
Akiba's
good. What are you insulting?
What is he good? What is he good about? What is he good?
He's the one who's unaffected by the nanomachines.
Say,
because he's scared of needles.
He fucking revives Meryl.
He does.
Well, I mean, Meryl's a baddie. I'd be doing the most to try
I'm just
and
saying,
try
he
and keep her
revives
alive
her.
as well. Yeah, and he's probably shitting his pants while he's doing it too.
No.
He's also goofy and like he's innocent in a way.
Y'all are aware this is the same guy
I
who
like
shits
Johnny.
his pants in the first game.
Yes.
And the second.
Yes.
And it's his granddad in the last one. That was great. That was a great piece.
But
of
it's
that was
fun.
fantastic.
It's Johnny.
It's Mr. Poopy Pants. The first time you see him, he's shitting in an oil can.
And he's a
Johnny.
good man. Except for the ass grabbing part. That was a weird part.
Meryl would never have been into him if he hadn't taken his mask off and revealed he's a fucking himbo.
Well, that and also the fact that he fucking revived her. He brought her back to life.
It is okay.
You're not getting married because you saved my
No,
life.
that's the same exact
You
issue.
are, because one, he saved your life, and he's a fucking handsome motherfucker.
Listen, this is the same issue with
His
Otacon
eyelashes are off the
and
chain.
Naomi. It's just not well-developed relationship. Kojima, is he married?
I mean, it's
I don't know.
That
He's got a
relationship-
kid.
That relationship's more well developed than fucking Naomi and Otacon.
It absolutely is.
It is, but then I also
absolutely
think about,
because they actually have a backstory.
But
Like
beyond
Meryl and
Yeah.
Johnny. Johnny even says, "I've been in love with you since I saw you in the first game.
That's
True,
fucking.
yeah.
That's a wild thing to say, bro.
Ever since you kicked my ass in the first game."
This chick kicked your ass and stripped you naked, and you're like, fucking, I
In
gotta have
Alaska.
more of that. This dude likes getting stepped on,
He
bro.
does like getting stepped on.
well, are you kidding? Of course he does. It's very obvious.
All right. Is there anything else we got to talk about with this fucking video game?
No, I think we're good. Let's rank it.
Let's fucking rank it. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, in this series, we rank every game we play in the game club amongst everything else. Why is it not showing?
This is my favorite Metal Gear game.
You're a madman, but I
It's far from the
respect you.
best, but my favorite.
Hello? I've never been more confused happening in my life. There it is. There it is. Okay. So the list is as follows. Stick with me. There's 35 games on the list. Number 35, Kingdom Hearts. Number 34, Fable. Number 33, BioShock. Number 31, Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze. 32, that was. 31 is Prey.
I'm gonna say, pay no attention to the fact the numbers are wrong.
I may have cranked this one out a little fast and didn't do it right. 20
Cranking something.
30 is Tomb Raider. That's why I was seeing Tomb Raider came up. 29 Alan Wake. 28 Batman Arkham Asylum. 27 Uncharted Drake's Fortune. 26 Signalis. 25 Halo Combat Evolved. 24 Dead Cells. 23 Shadow of the Colossus. 22 Mario 64. 21 Resident Evil 4. 20 Portal. 19 Banjo-Kazooie. 18 Ratchet and Clank. 17 Pokemon Soul Silver.
Too low.
16 Severed. 15 Resident Evil HD. 14 Chrono Trigger. 13 Dishonored. 12 Metal Gear Solid. 11 Shovel Knight. 10 Portal 2. 9 Doom 2016. 8 Yakuza 0. 7 Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. 6 Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. 5 Hades. 4 Final Fantasy 7. 3, The Last of Us 2, God of War Ragnarok, and number 1, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Gentlemen, where are we putting Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots?
Well,
Let's start with the one who's the highest on this.
so number 10's Portal 2, number 11 Shovel Knight, number 12 Metal Gear Solid. Right?
Yes, sir.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is the new number 12.
Above Metal Gear Solid 1?
Above Metal Gear Solid 1.
I don't even understand. Elaborate, please.
Well, as I said before, I think this game is the most fun to like play. I could see myself replaying this the most. Granted, I can go back to play Snake Eater as well. I think the one of the two of the four that I would replay the least are 2 and 1. But I think that Metal Gear Solid 4, while having a abysmal amount of cutscenes, and the amount of them that like my kind of eyes glaze over, I'm here for the fan service. I'm here for the general like gunplay, the actual like fun point to point stealth slash action, and you know that fucking Metal Gear, the fucking Chapter 4 or Act 4 is just so phenomenal. And it's such a great callback and an improvement upon the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 1.
Hey, if you like that active camo system, totally.
I love it.
Are we
makes
gonna
sense for a lot
talk
of
like?
things.
Are you gonna give any credence to the impact the first game had? 'Cause I don't think this game has that at all.
I mean, how much are we talking about impact in this list?
Tavin's always talking about impact.
Impact-
No one
impact-
cares.
It's always something that should be brought up and is a slider that should be respected.
Oh, I'm so glad that we respected that slider for Kingdom Hearts. I'm so glad.
That game did nothing.
You're a piece of shit. You're a
Metal
liar.
Gear Solid. If the conversation and comparisons are going to be made with Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 1 was like generational game that hadn't been made before.
Changed video games.
Okay, if Kingdom Hearts never came out, we wouldn't have Final Fantasy games the way they are now. So
That'd probably be a good thing.
Maybe not necessarily.
So you hate.
I love the 7 remake games.
You hate
but
remake
16
and
is
you
a
hate Rebirth.
shitty fucking game.
You're
Tavin's
such
an
a
idiot.
piece of shit.
Tavin's
You're a liar.
Shit liar
15
loser.
sucks. What
15
did
does not
14?
suck.
14 was
15 does
14 was the
not
MMO.
suck.
That's fine.
13 is also overhated in the context of when it was talked about.
Guys.
Tavin's being you say 13. 13 isn't influenced by Kingdom Hearts 2.
It was
Not
still
even
turn-based,
15.
I'm pretty sure.
What?
13 was still turn-based, right?
Yeah, but that's not what Kingdom Hearts is known for. It's the integration of the kind of turn-based menu
No.
system and activating it. Oh,
No, I'm talking about. That's why it's not influenced by Kingdom Hearts. It's 13.
Oh, I
It's
see, yeah.
still turn-based.
Kingdom Hearts influenced what an action
but
RPG is.
even then,
Yes.
15 isn't either. It's just an action-adventure game.
It's an action RPG.
Yeah, but not in the same way that like it plays like Kingdom Hearts. I mean, there's other action RPGs at this time. I would definitely.
I would
guess.
say 15 plays similar to Kingdom Hearts.
I would make an argument that Kingdom Hearts helped lay the foundation of what an action RPG is. End of story. So any action RPG takes influence, I would say, from the lessons learned from Kingdom Hearts, not, oh man, Kingdom Hearts knocked this out of the park. Like Kingdom Hearts went, oh, that's an interesting idea. What if we tweaked it? Like I like parts of what they did here, but not how we ended up.
Tell that to the reviewers of it at the time.
Hey, this game has a 94 also, Connor. Where are you ranking it?
Well, yeah. So compare this with last month when we talked about Breath of the Wild. Tavin's wrong, of course, and he thinks the game is not as good as the general consensus is that me and
True.
Phil are far more of a part of.
Yep.
When we talked about that game, regardless of how contentious it might be, we spent a lot of the time talking about and arguing about the gameplay itself, rather than not only criticizing it, but I feel like we've talked more about those singular moments you find within that whole entire narrative of Metal Gear Solid 4, and the fact that the narrative's not even that good to begin with.
I missed the transition from Breath of the Wild to 4.
I'm saying that when we're talking about it from the perspective of a video game,
Okay.
we talked about this more like a movie than a video game, as opposed to Breath of the Wild, where we talked about it, of course, more than like a video game than a movie.
You spent like 25 minutes talking about just gameplay. And the changes that
in
they
an
made.
hour and a half long review.
I would say, in terms of us talking about gameplay to stuff that happened in the story / cutscenes, we're probably.
I think we're about even.
Wow.
Because
I would say
also remember the 20 plus minutes that are given to each of our individual reviews, and
That's
then,
fair.
Which in that isn't just focusing about gameplay.
I
It's
was-
more comprehensive.
I was gonna say
That's true, though.
probably a good 55-60% was talking about cutscenes.
in which, going to that percentile,
game.
yeah, like the game,
No,
where
it's 49% cutscene and 51% game.
when you have so much of your game reliant on cutscenes and narrative and all of those things, except for 5 moments really that stand out, how can you praise this game beyond just like it's overrated and it didn't even have impact? This is partly because of you guys, right? Because there is a game I would put it above. I refuse to put this above BioShock. This is going above Fable Anniversary,
God.
below BioShock. Even the game, because also like the turret section of the gameplay.
What tier do you want it in? What tier do you want it in?
Oh, I'd put it below D.
In the D tier?
I can argue in C as well, but because it is like from a technical standpoint, it's a well-made game. It's just the focuses that it decides to dive into are not. I would put it in C tier solely because on replays you can skip through the cutscenes and have an enjoyable time. I just don't think we should be, using that as a metric for where it deserves to rank. And BioShock not only is just more fun and better as a video game, I have to put it below that.
The floor for this game is like 25, 26, above Signalis.
Well, let's see what Tavin has to say.
Signalis is way better than this game.
Believe it.
This is a tricky one. This is a very, very tricky one. I'm heavily, heavily conflicted. My ceiling is Signalis. It's not going above Signalis. My floor.
The Alan Wake tries to do something more interesting than this game does.
See, it's a thing. Yeah, no, it's a thing of like, I genuinely like. I think this game is better than Prey. I don't think it's better than Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. But I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna put this at the new number. No, I'm gonna put this at the new number 20. What is that? Number 30. I'm putting it above Tomb Raider, below Alan Wake.
Gotcha, that would be the new number 30.
Yeah. I think this game plays better than Alan Wake by a mile, by a country mile. But Alan Wake is more interesting narratively. We're doing something artistically that's super fascinating. I think the move to hyper realistic graphics was a bit of a mistake. It kind of took the magic out of Metal Gear here. Yeah, the amount of cutscenes in here, the amount of time that I'm glazing over, not paying attention, the amount of time that it's just boring. And just the general gameplay design doesn't really let these mechanics shine in the way that they deserve to. And on top of that, Phil, you felt like you had choice. And yes, you do have choice. I didn't feel the need to explore those choices. I don't think the game does a good job of convincing the player to do something new other than the one or two things that have worked the entire ride. And though the nostalgia moments are fantastic, though a lot of the fan service is great, there's a lot of it that's not. There's a lot of fan service that make me go, come on, can anything new happen in this game? Why does everything have to reference back to the first 3 games?
Very reliant on it.
Like, the reason Snake Eater is the best is because it's the least self-referential. Like, Metal Gear Solid is a remake. Huh?
It's a prequel.
Which is funny, yeah.
Yes, but Metal Gear Solid 1 just repeats what happens in Metal Gear 1. Metal Gear Solid 2 is cool in the sense that it's like, oh, but we're going to repeat like that. Like, but we're going to make that part of the theme, right? So that's cool, but it's inherently like it just a fucking, what is the snake that eats itself?
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. I thought that's what it was. I just wasn't sure. It's just an Ouroboros of it's just eating itself. And then so 3 has to take a hard line, like shift into a different direction. It still uses the formula of a Metal Gear Solid game, but it just wipes itself clean of all the other baggage that comes with it. And I think 4 is the inevitable conclusion that you reach when your entire franchise is just referencing and repeating itself. At some point, the magic wears off. At some point, you, the creator, have less interesting things to say because you just keep repeating yourself. This is my least favorite Metal Gear. This might be my least favorite Kojima game.
Leave with that.
I don't think I haven't played them all, but I've played the Metal Gears and I've played Death Stranding, and this one there's just a lot that there's a lot that make me go, oh, badass, but there's just so much more that makes me go, who cares? Why would you choose to go this route? What is going on?
This guy, Phil, put it above Pokemon Soul Silver.
Literally.
Well, it's because Pokemon Soul Silver is fucking low.
Oh, well.
I would only move Pokemon Soul Silver up maybe one spot.
Well,
okay, when we ranked it, we didn't even talk about how there was an entire second game.
Well, you didn't make us play the game. It was a long time. I was already like 40, not 50. I was like 30 plus hours deep into Pokemon Soul Silver by the time I
My total playtime for Metal Gear Solid 4 was 16 hours, 34 minutes, and 40 seconds. I used 3 continues, alerted 46 times, 166 kills, 24 recovery items used, procured 44 weapon types. Flashbacks, I watched 153. I used no special items. And total bonus was 30,090 Drebin points, and the current Drebin points I ended with was 102,365 Drebin points, with the title of
I couldn't tell you all my stats. I know my playtime was about 14-20. Connor, I think, did you go 18?
Not 18. 17 was most. Maybe I think it was nearing 18.
What was y'all's title?
Well, there's actually it gives you a overall one, but if you look at the code, it gives you multiple ones.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I can't remember.
We
what
all
mine
had it.
was.
We all had Hawk. I know that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the main one that we all got also, but
I had like 2 other ones.
Yeah.
I just didn't look.
yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your review for Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns to the Patriots. Not the nicest thing we've done. Not the meanest thing.
I was here. I was nice.
You were nice. You were quite nice. I'm so glad you were here, Phil. I'm so glad you liked the game. You're wrong, but I'm so glad you liked it. And let us know how you feel about the game down in the comments down below. And until next time, have a great time.
List. Wheel.
Oh,
Wheel.
fuck. I do it every
week.
goddamn
Now,
time.
wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Something might be wrong with this wheel. Talk amongst yourselves while you waste my time.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Why would something be
let's
wrong?
go ahead and just
What are you doing?
Go ahead and just talk about.
I don't know. I don't know what to do from here because
We'll talk about what we took out.
Yeah.
essentially.
I thought I could look and see more, but those are real small. Those are very
So,
small.
of course, ladies and gentlemen, the wheel is a random wheel where we've put, currently there are 113 games in the wheel. There's so many games. We just keep adding them. And
Add them faster than we're
Kevin.
taking them.
literally.
Do that way.
Yeah. Hey, what do you want?
We did this before we
No,
recorded.
this is something different.
What are you looking for? Can you
See, I had an epiphany.
yeah.
Before, I've been hung up on this ever since I did
We're
it
an
once.
hour and 40 minutes
Yes,
into this.
Banjo-Kazooie got chosen when I called it. I had an epiphany that it's going to be Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. I was making sure it's on the list.
That's not on the
It's
list.
not on the list.
Not on the list.
Well, that's your
You didn't
failure.
put it in the chat.
I did put it.
You never put it in the
I did
chat.
put it in the goddamn. And I know I did. I
Oh.
did.
I can look for it right now.
I'll put it in for you.
And you know, I'm.
Mechanic what?
You could change it later. Just do that. Mechanicus.
Let's see.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not like that, but
All right. Well, it's in the list now.
There's
So-
no Warhammer in.
Yeah. So we are allowed vetoes of this list. We each can take one game out of rotation.
Hey, instead of what I chose, can I choose the Warhammer one? You just added.
No, please.
Are you being serious? Or
Yeah.
you-
No, Phil. Come on, you fucking.
the fuck
Oh,
did you-
Phil. For this list,
Partially for the joke. But
we Phil,
I chose
you-
Bully. I chose
You
Bully.
don't know. You don't know what kind of enemy you just made by doing.
Yeah.
Phil, I'm going to make your games that you want played on this wheel living hell until I deign to no longer.
On the wheel.
So we
Yes.
do
What
our.
you choose?
Yes, what I choose will
That's
be a
not the
game
wheel.
to punish you.
Okay.
So when it makes the most sense, we play the games in the order of their release when necessary. It's not the hardest line rule, but we try to make it as hard line as possible. All right. So up until this point, we've been going in the order of the Metal Gears, but now we're at a breaking point. So both Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and Metal Gear Rising Revengeance are in the list at the same time. All right. So it could be either of those. We have the option to veto. You cannot veto a game if it was vetoed last time we spun the wheel. Last time, it was Persona 3 and Fable 2. So those two, I chose not to veto anything. So those two games must remain in the list this time. Now, we have vetoed Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, or
Is
whatever
it
the fuck.
Mechanicist or Mechanicus?
Mechanicus.
Oh, okay. Said he put
Is there a
Mechanicist.
T at the end?
US. No.
Yeah, Mechanicus.
Why I asked.
I can't see it really.
Okay. This time around, it's Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, Death Stranding, and Tears of the Kingdom are all vetoed. No more changing anything. Here we go. Oh,
No more.
shit. I don't want that.
Why not?
Because I can't.
All right, guys.
Is that even the first one in the franchise?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's 20. It's
Oh.
2018. How was it the first one?
We're
Castle
playing
Crashers.
Castle
Crashers. Okay.
I'm into that. Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, through the month of June, we will be playing Castle Crashers. The first Monday in July, we will come with our Castle Crashers review and rank it in the list. This is a fun one. That's a cool one. That'll switch it up.
That'll be July 7th.
Wow. Okay.
We could
7th,
also,
not the first?
If we want to, we can do June 30th.
Let's do that.
We playing that together?
I'm totally down to play it together.
Seems like
You
it's
do
kind
it
of
online?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Castle Crashers.
We got to do that on Steam?
No, I'm pretty sure it's on PlayStation.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is. I have
Shit.
it.
Oh,
Castle Crashers Remastered.
Oh.
there it is. Castle Crashers. Until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.